السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام را تلك آيات الكتاب المبين. إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون. نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن وإن كنت من قبله لمن الغافلين. إذ قال يوسف لأبيه يا أبت إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I was asked to talk about the divide of communication between parents and children, and this session was originally meant to be something directed at parents, but now that this is a combined session, inshallah ta'ala, hopefully it will be of benefit to both audiences. I'll share with you in the very beginning an advice my teacher gave me. My teacher, Dr. Abdul Samia, gave me some advice. He said, when you're going to address or ever give advice to anyone, and you wonder how you're going to, put together a topic and give a talk, just let the Quran do the talking. It's called guidance for a reason. So find where it is in the Quran that Allah Azza wa Jalla addresses a topic, and let that be the speech itself. And so that's what I'm going to try and do, inshallah ta'ala, living up to that advice. One of the most beautiful places you'll learn something about parenting in the Quran will be Surah Yusuf. And within Surah Yusuf, specifically Yaqub alayhi salam. All over the Quran, he is mentioned as a role model parent. Yaqub alayhi salam is mentioned as a role model parent. And in this surah, we learned something very special about him. In a previous session, those of you that were here, I mentioned how kids couldn't appreciate how awesome Surah Yusuf is. They didn't see what the big deal was. Well, I want to highlight at least some of those things, some of those lessons that we can benefit from, both as parents and as children. Yusuf alayhi salam, young boy, sees a dream. You all know the story, right? Young boy, he sees a dream. It disturbs him. Who does he go talk to in the Quran? He goes talk to his dad. You ever see a teenage boy, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 11-year-old even, maybe 9, 10, sees a dream, something bothered him. First person he goes to talk to is his dad. Anything small goes wrong in your life, especially a boy, and you say, maybe I should talk to dad about this. Is that what you normally do? If it's a really big problem, maybe you'll go talk to your mom. And when you do, the first thing you'll tell her is, don't tell dad. And then you'll talk about whatever it is you have to talk about. The fact that Yusuf alayhi salam went and spoke to his father is already teaching fathers a huge deal. He has some kind of relationship with his child, by virtue of which no matter how disturbed the child may be, and the problem may be big or small, in this case the problem isn't even a matter of reality, it's a matter of a dream. But whatever problem comes up, I should be able to talk to my dad no matter what. I should be able to talk to him. That's the kind of relationship Yaqub alayhi salam has established with his child. He doesn't have to come and tell him, if something happens, you better come and tell me, you hear? No, he comes himself. He comes himself and tells his dad. That's huge. Before we even learn anything else about parenting in this surah, we've already learned something huge about what kind of fathers our fathers need to be. How easily accessible they need to be to their kids. How easy should it be for a child to be able to come to their parent and say anything? I'll tell you something. This is easy to talk about, difficult to live by. I have, alhamdulillah, when I only had one child, you're very protective of your first child, and the second and third comes along, and then you mix up their names, right? Hey, you, Kareem, Husna, number 4, or were you 3? Which one? Just get away from there. You go through the extended family's names before you get their name right, but my daughter, my eldest, when she was in preschool, she goes to preschool, she comes home one day, and she's like 3.5, 4 years old. She comes home, she goes to me, Abba, Yusuf is so funny. There's some kid named Yusuf in the class. I was like, who's Yusuf? Tell me everything you know. Who's Yusuf? And my wife saw it from a corner of her eye. And she goes, Nouman, can I talk to you for a second? And I came over and said, what is it? She goes, you stay quiet. And she took her, and then my wife talked to me later. She said, listen, you don't think your child can see that you're getting upset? I was like, yeah, I'm sure she could. If she sees that you're getting upset, next time, when it comes to telling you anything about what happens in class, will she open her mouth or keep it shut? She'll keep it shut. She won't say anything. She's going to hide things from you. And it'll be your fault. Because you look like you got upset. It's entirely your fault. You can't close that door on her. You have to just listen. It's harmless. She's 3 years old, 4 years old. What's the big deal? Relax, calm down. And as a Muslim father, you have to kind of get trained into calming down. We don't have that training. We actually have quite the opposite training. Interestingly enough, the words that come out of Yusuf alayhi salam's mouth, they begin with Ya Abati. So he's about to tell his dad the dream, and he uses the words Ya Abati. Now in Arabic, if you say Ya Abi, it's a sign of you're addressing your father. When you say Ya Abati and you add that ta that you hear, it's a show of respect. Oh, my noble father, my respected father, my beloved father, Dad, I love you. It's like these terms of respect have been added just by that ta when he addresses his dad. What we're learning is not only is his child ready to communicate with him at any point, at the same time he's also extremely respectful. And that's at the same time it's a compliment to the child, but at the same time it's a compliment to the father. What kind of father communicates openly with his child and at the same time maintains a relationship of respect? Because when you get very frank with kids, what happens? They run all over you. They'll run all over you and they become too casual. And then you have to become strict because you say, I should be strict because that way they'll show me respect. If you come from where I come from, Pakistan, there's one way to get respect. If you're a father, be as harsh and as mean, as nasty as you possibly can be, and that is the way you get respect. You never hear your name said nicely. If your name is Abdullah, you don't never hear that say, Abdullah, could you come here? Abdullah! And you better show up looking all scared. You can't smile. If you're smiling at your dad, you're like, what? What is this? What are you looking at? Being angry, whether you're, and by the way, this isn't just for Pakistanis, even though we're awesome at it, right? It's parents, although Muslim parents are generally very harsh. And they think that's what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be disciplinaries, especially the father should be tough. So when he walks into the house, there should be absolute silence. Everybody should drop what they're doing. Dad's here. Like everything's going well in the house, everybody's playing around, things are happening, and Dad's in the driveway. Huh? Sit still, don't look around. There's that culture. What Yaqub alayhi salam is teaching us is the opposite. This child is most comfortable talking to his father, even about a dream. And when he addresses him, he commands this respect. What I'm trying to get at is, we thought the formula for getting respect from your kids is being harsh and mean, being loud, being scary. That would be the way I will get the respect of my kids. Maybe that worked in Pakistan, maybe that worked in Cairo, maybe that worked in Palestine, maybe that worked in Syria and in Bangladesh. It ain't working here. This here is America. It ain't working here. And you've already tried it and it hasn't worked. And then you come to the Imam and say, my teenage boy doesn't listen to me. What should I do? What you should do is realize where you live. First of all, seriously. You're not in a culture, you're in a culture where your kids go to school. Your kids go to school and they go with other non-Muslim children who, when they address their mom, they don't say mom, they say, Samantha, come here. That's what they do. It's normal for them. That's normal for them. And your kids go to school with other children who, when they're talking about their father, say, my dad, man, he's so weird. That's the nicest thing they'll say, by the way. That's not the bad stuff yet. And kids talk about their parents just like they're talking about some idiot. Seriously, that's what they hear all the time. And then you have our children, the parents here, many of you have funny accents, at least to your kids. It sounds funny, it sounds weird, And we're trained in a culture to constantly make fun of other people. We're just trained that way. So guess what? If you're an easy target, your kids behind your back are even making fun of you. There's no respect, is what I'm trying to say. And your idea and my idea was, if we're extra harsh, we'll get their respect. No. If you're open, if you're a genuine friend to your children, if you're a source of nurturing and protection for them, you will have their respect like nothing else will gain it. And you will maintain a communication with them that otherwise cannot be had. One of the biggest problems we have between parents and children is that children, as they get older, they stop talking to their parents. They don't talk to them. How many parents here have teenage kids? Let me see your hands. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Honest to God, I am terrified for all of you. I went to a youth program with my daughter who was 7 at the time. I took her to a youth program where there were 500 teenage kids. 250 boys, 250 girls. It was a weekend thing. All these high school kids are there, Muslim kids. And these are supposed to be the good Muslim kids. These are the boys that somewhat look like they're praying. And these are the girls that, I think that's a hijab. Right? These are those kids. I spent some time with them walking around on campus, and then I had to just walk away. So I took my daughter, and we're sitting far away on a bench, and I'm sitting on a bench, and I'm crying. And my daughter asked me, why are you crying, Abba? What happened? I said, you're going to be one of those things in 6 years.